We got Manning versus Brady. We have Cam Newton trying to pull a comeback attempt. And we got 3 blowouts in this afternoon. We got to start with Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady. You know, it's a historic quarterback rivalry of 2 of the best to ever play the game. We start out with Tom Brady getting both teams went 3 out first, and then Tom Brady would drive down the field for a 12-play, 84-yard drive for Wes Welker for an 8-yard touchdown. And then the second quarter, Peyton Manning would go to work as he got a touchdown pass to Joel Dreesen, tying the game up. But then the Patriots would march right back down the field on an 80-yard drive, and it ended with a Shane Vereen touchdown, making it 14-7, and then going to 17-7 late at halftime. Third quarter, Tom Brady wasted no time going to work as quarterback sneaks a touchdown in, and not much longer later, after a turnover from Manning, fumble from Demaryius Thomas, excuse me. And it became 31-7 after a Stephon Ridley touchdown. He would have a big game. And then Peyton Manning would finally get down the field and make it 31-14 after a touchdown pass to Eric Decker. And this is where the game would get really, really interesting, as Tom Brady, they went for it on 4th and 1. And they didn't really need to, but they did. And Brady got sacked and fumbled. The Patriots would recover, but it was 4th and 1, and they went for it. I don't know what the purpose of this was, but then Peyton Manning would then drive down the field and complete a 5-yard touchdown pass to Brandon Stokely. But we also got to keep in mind that after it became 31-14, I forgot to mention, Willis McGahee dropped a critical 4th and 1 pass, and that was really a momentum killer. And then the Brady fumble happened, and then the score happened to make it 31-21. But then the Patriots were driving down the field after a good big run by Stephon Ridley, which went for a good 20-plus yards. I think it went for a lot more than that. But Ridley fumbles, and then Manning was able to drive down the field. But on 4th and 1, he made a gutsy decision to Demaryius Thomas. It paid out for him after he got a huge gain. But a couple plays later, they handed off to Willis McGahee, and first, he drops the 4th and 1 pass earlier in the 4th quarter, and then he fumbles, and it killed any chance that Denver had to really come back, as Tom Brady and the Patriots would get 2 isolation first downs, and it would initially close the game. Patriots are going to walk away with it 31-21. Both teams will now face Patriots will be 3-2, and the Broncos will be 2-3, as the Pats travel to Seattle next week, and Denver's got a Monday night game at San Diego next week. It was a tough effort for the Broncos, but they just made too many sloppy plays, and it ended up costing them in the end. The Patriots played great. They did not want to go 0-2 at home, and Tom Brady made sure, and as well as Stephon Ridley, with the exception of that one fumble, that they were not going to lose this game. And the Patriots' defense played great. They forced 3 fumbles. They got 3 recoveries, 1 from Cunningham, 1 from Moore, and 1 from Vince Wilfork. Peyton Manning did throw for 345 yards, 3 touchdowns, but it would not be enough on this day. Willis McGahee being the downside to the Denver offense, 51 yards rushing only. He did get 51 yards receiving as well, but he fumbled the critical fumble that could have made it at least 31-24 or 31-28. And it was just not Peyton Manning's day, and it's a tough loss for the Broncos and a great win for the Patriots. Denver's got to bounce back next week on Monday Night Football. That's just what I got to say about that. Now we got to go on to Seattle and Carolina. Cam Newton trying to avoid going 1-4. Well, it didn't start out too good. Well, neither offense was really getting off after the first drive, where the Seahawks only got a field goal, making it 3-0, and then a lot of offensive stall and great defense was being played, as it was only 6-3 at halftime. And then third quarter, Russell Wilson makes a mistake, and it was a 33-yard pick six by Captain Munnerlyn. Yes, his first name is Captain, and it was 10-6 Carolina leads. But then later on in the quarter, Russell Wilson was able to compose himself and get a 13-yard touchdown pass to Golden Tate, making it 13-10. And then Seattle would eventually get the ball back, driving down the field, get another field goal. And then here comes Cam Newton, try to drive down and take the lead late in the game. they get down to goal line situations, have 4 chances to cash it in. On 4th and goal at the 1, Cam Newton tries to take it in himself, and he can't get it done. And then Carolina had to make a stop, and then it takes a botched punt, which leads to a safety. John Ryan getting safety to Seattle punter, and it made it 16-12. So Cam would have one more shot, and then he fumbles it away. And that ends the game for the Carolina Panthers as they lose 16-12 to Seattle. The Seahawks are going to 3-2, and they grab their first win on the road this year. Seahawks are playing the Patriots next week at home, and the Panthers, any chance they had, they just couldn't get it done. It was their 3rd straight loss. They have a bye week next week, which is probably good to fix out what's wrong with Cam Newton. And we got to go back to the fact that they had faced the Dallas Cowboys in Week 7, but Cam Newton has been the downside of this team, and it's just been amazing that he went from so great last year to the downside of this team. He only threw for 141 yards, and he did get 42 yards rushing, but only 141 yards passing. That's just not good. But the Panthers are in trouble, though, especially in a tough NFC South where the Falcons are 5-0. Well, really, they're the only team they have to worry about, but the problem is the Panthers have to focus on wild card pretty much because the end of winning the NFC South is out of the question. As for Seattle, good effort. They need to stay up with San Francisco and Arizona. Speaking of San Francisco, they put on another dominating display, this time at home against the Buffalo Bills. And 49ers went to work early and often as Alex Smith would pick up 2 second-quarter touchdowns, and there would be a field goal here and there. The Bills' only opportunity they had to even take a lead was only resulting in a 31-yard field goal in the early second quarter, made it 3-3. And that was when Alex Smith threw his 2 touchdowns and took a 17-3 halftime lead. Then the 49ers just marched right back down the field, and Frank Gore gets a 1-yard touchdown, 24-3. And the 49ers will just take advantage of the Buffalo Bills. Touchdowns consist of Mario Manningham on a touchdown pass, Colin Kaepernick on another Wildcat, and Anthony Dixon, the backup for Frank Gore, in a 3-yard run, make 45-3. The 49ers have now outscored their opponents 79-3 in the last 2 games, and these are against AFC East teams, a division that's supposed to be one of the best in the AFC, and they just got stomped. 49ers, 303 yards, 3 touchdowns. Colin Kaepernick did get some more playing time besides the Wildcat. He actually threw a pass. Fitzpatrick only 126 yards and an interception. The thing is that the Bills only turned it over twice, but their offense could never do anything in the day. The running game wasn't. Well, Brad Smith had like a 135-yard Wildcat play. The rest of it was just 29 yards from Fred Jackson on 9 carries and 24 yards from C.J. Spillane on 7 carries. It was not pretty for the Buffalo Bills, and they gotta fix whatever's wrong if they want to stay competitive in this division, as it's crucial. The Bills do have to go on the road next week to take on the Arizona Cardinals. 49ers have an NFC Championship rematch at home against the New York Giants. Now, let's move on to the Titans and Vikings. The Titans 1-4, Vikings 4-1. Vikings becoming one of the surprises in the NFL this year. Percy Harvin got to work early and often. He got a 4-yard touchdown run to start things off. Then they ended the half on a couple field goals, make it 13-0. And then Blair Walsh would get the 26-yard touchdown, making it 16-0, followed by another Percy Harvin touchdown near the end of the third quarter from Christian Ponder, making it 23-0 before Tennessee finally scores, making it 23-7, but then Christian Ponder scored right back and made it 37, and that would be your final. Christian Ponder is getting better and better with every game. He did throw 2 picks today, I will say that, but he still had a very, very good game, and, you know, he's got potential. And Adrian Peterson at 88 yards. Percy Harvin was the motivator in this game. He had 108 yards receiving and a receiving touchdown, as well as a rushing touchdown. But Chris Johnson, however, he's continuing to struggling after getting that huge contract. 24 yards, 15 carries, and he lost a fumble. And he only had 1 catch, 5 yards. And it's just bad days for the Tennessee Titans, and Matt Hasselbeck, who's Jake Walker's replacement, isn't doing much better. He's 26-43, 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and got sacked twice. It's not good days for Tennessee right now, but the Titans must bounce back on Thursday. They have a short week before a home game against the Steelers of Pittsburgh, and the Vikings must go on the road to take on the Redskins. And last but not least, or I guess you could say least, because it wasn't much of a game after the first half, the Bears and the Jaguars, both teams show stifling defense, as it was only 3-3, but then it got ugly after that. The Bears would go down and get a field goal, but the next drive, the Jaguars, when they had the ball, Gabbert throws, picked off by Charles Tillman for his second week in a row that he had a pick six, making it 13-3. And then the Bears' offense would click in the fourth quarter as Jay Cutler would find Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall for 2 scores in the fourth, making it 27-3. And then Gabbert throws a pick six to Lance Briggs, and that would be his second pick six for the second week in a row, making it 34-3. And then the Bears would get a garbage time Armando Allen 46-yard touchdown run, making it 41-3. Ugh. Bears pick up their second straight win on the road and their third straight overall. And Cutler he plays solid. He was savvy. He got 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 1 pick. Forte had 107 yards on the day. Brandon Marshall had 144 of Cutler's 292 yards. And he was a benefactor. And this is why I was saying the Bears can compete in the NFC North. They're in first place right now, and they're taking all the advantages they can get. I mean, to not only compete with the surprising Minnesota Vikings, but to stay ahead of the Green Bay Packers, who are currently at 2-3. So this is looking pretty good for the Bears so far. And if Jay Cutler continues to improve, they could take that division. As for Jackson, and also I like to mention that Chicago plays the Detroit Lions after their bye. The Bears have a bye, then they play the Detroit Lions on a Monday Night Football. So they get a well-deserved break. Meanwhile, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they get a bye week as well, but then they got a road game against Oakland week 7. That's a chance for a win, but you don't want to count the chickens before they hatch, so to speak. With Blaine Gabbert still as quarterback, looking awful. 17-33 for 142 yards, 2 picks. Jones Drew only had 56 yards rushing, and not much positive to say for Jacksonville. But that's it for today, or this recap anyway. Be sure to come back tonight for the Saints Chargers, as Drew Brees is looking for a win, his first win of the season, and the Chargers are looking to win their third straight on the road, and also go for a win.